This is the giant devilfish, feared and avoided for centuries, subject of fable and folklore, the octopus. Because of his sinister reputation, few have dared to confront this legendary 8-armed monster of the deep. As his great cloud of ink spewed from his breathing funnel confuses his enemies, so does his legend obscure the truth about him. There's much to be learned about this mysterious mollusk that swims in the depths of the sea and prowls the bottom of the underwater jungle. From the Pacific to the Mediterranean, Captain Cousteau and Calypso divers would now observe and photograph one of man's most curious contemporaries, the much maligned octopus, and seek the truth about this enigmatic cave dweller of the sea. Marseille, France's chief seaport on the Mediterranean. Espadon, Calypso's little sister, a fishing vessel refitted by Captain Cousteau as an auxiliary dive boat, leaves the old harbor and heads southeast, where the major phase of the study of the octopus will take place. Head diver Albert Falco discusses the venture with Frederick Dumas. Before the invention of the aqualung, which Dumas helped Cousteau test in 1943, man could only speculate about the legendary monsters lurking beneath the seas. Artists and writers long depicted octopuses as gigantic, bloodthirsty creatures, powerful enough to crush ships. Dubbed devilfish, they were hideous of appearance, ferocious and hungry. Victor Hugo wrote, "The horrible tentacles are tough as steel, cold as night. The octopus draws you to him. Powerless, you feel yourself emptied into the horrible pouch, which is the monster itself. The tearing of the flesh is terrible." But Victor Hugo never met an octopus. At Frioul Island, Cousteau's divers are ready now to seek the truth about this controversial animal and separate fact from fiction.
Marc, là, c'est des sangs assez profonds, hein. Pas loin, oui. On peut descendre, là.
Michel Delois hands down his cameras. Not in stirring prose, but beneath the concealing skin of the sea is the real world of the octopus.
In the Mediterranean, the octopus has neither the proportions nor temperament of a monster. It is small and shy. It flies away as might a timid bird and lands on a sunlit underwater hillside. Octopus, octopus, are you really so unappealing? Curious you are, as much as we, but cautious. Once the octopus had a protective shell. During evolution, the shell was abandoned. Gaining increased mobility, the octopus rose above its cousins, the clam, the oyster, and the snail. Without a fortress on its back, it is vulnerable. And now it protects itself by swift color changes in superb camouflage. Jeunesse is surprised by the animal's awareness, its extreme sensitivity, even to the anticipation of touch. When confronted by things larger than himself, the Mediterranean octopus, normally measuring no more than 2 feet across, expands to look larger than he is. With this display, he seeks to frighten off jeunesse, or predators, in the often ruthless competition in the sea. To escape his enemies, the octopus needs speed and uses his breathing funnel for jet propulsion. He also needs sharp sight and has developed almost human eyes. Without these resources, with no skeleton or bones, the octopus would be a hopeless animal. Yet there is advantage in his bonelessness. He can change his shape and size and push himself away from danger in a sudden show of grace. In the vast aquarium that is the world of the Mediterranean octopus, our divers are strangers. Because of the animal's shyness, we have not descended in force. By gently diving and swimming with them, we hope they will begin to accept us as appealing creatures.
In Seattle, in the cold Pacific waters, another octopus study gets underway. Calypso divers Raymond Cole and Louis Preslin are escorted to octopus lairs by their American guides, divers Joanne Duffy and Gary Keffler. The octopus order comprises some 150 species, the smallest 1 inch long. Preslin and Cole have come to take a look at the largest known species in the world, the North American octopus, which from tentacle to tentacle spans 20 feet and weighs up to 125 pounds.
Okay. Tell me, Joanne, what is the best way for catching the octopus?
We've got to find a rocky area where you can look up inside the cracks and crevices of the rock and find them. They hide in very small places in the rocks.
Joanne, a diving instructor with a master's degree in fish biology, qualifies with the Calypso team.
Okay.
Gary, who has had long experience with the octopus, will captain the dive. The scenery, paved with large white anemones, is alien to Preslin and Cole. The terrain is familiar to Gary and Joanne. A giant octopus on the prowl. A cephalopod, an animal with his head on his feet. Is this the origin of the fabled devilfish? the legendary monster that crushed men and devoured ships? The men of Calypso will soon discover exactly how strong he is, precisely how dangerous. For here, he is no legend, he is real. The Pacific octopus, largest in the world, confronted, his skin grows spiny, his color cells change. Joanne must grasp the octopus before he reaches his rocky lair. If he reaches his lair, he will be able to cling to the sides of the grotto with his powerful suction cups, and his great strength will be multiplied. In the words of Victor Hugo, no fate could be more horrible than to be entwined in those 8 clammy arms, to feel those 800 discs with their cold adhesive touch, like so many mouths devouring you at the same time.
Gary has a greater problem with his octopus. Securely anchored to rocks, it exerts the stronger force. Gary's mask is pulled away and he must clear it of water. The other octopus has underestimated the powers of a woman. For the moment, at least, Joanne has hers under control.
Gary is engulfed. Victor Hugo, claws are harmless compared with the horrible action of this animal's suckers. The talons of a wild beast enter into your flesh, but with the octopus, it is you who enters into the creature.
In truth, once removed from the rocks, the octopus loses its defensive spirit. It opens like a flower. Even a monster can be carried as easily as a bridal bouquet. Our divers now observe his horny parrot's beak, used to tear crab and lobster shells. A toxic saliva can be secreted by this narrow mouth, but the only octopus whose bite can be lethal belongs to a tiny species. In spite of his legend, the octopus is a misunderstood creature who will avoid you if he can. Matched in mid-water against a girl of experience, even the largest octopus in the world doesn't stand a chance.
In the Mediterranean, off the coast of southern France, Captain Cousteau joins the divers aboard the Espadon. He comes with news of an octopus city, east of Porquerolles.
Hello?
They will be heading for the Bay of Alicastre, off the island of Porquerolles. Here they can best film the small and agile Mediterranean octopus.
Il y a 6 heures de route? À peu près.
Alors, le poulpe a l'intelligence et la main, mais il n'a pas le langage.
En route to Alicastre Bay, Captain Cousteau describes the great variety of octopus homes he has encountered all around the world.
Ce qui nous avait frappé, c'était la façon de servir d'un bras, un seul.
He speculates on how the octopus survives the harsh life here, on the flat floor of the Mediterranean.
Pour s'éloigner, avec le même bras, il a écarté.
Jeunesse approaches a typical abode of the Mediterranean octopus. The animal has laboriously drawn rocks from great distances and piled them around a broken clay jar, within which he makes a home.
When he does not find a ready-made home, like a narrow crevice or a shipwreck, the octopus must build his house around him. As man uses arms and hands, the octopus uses his arms and suckers to barricade the door. The housing shortage here is severe. For the octopus, there are few natural fortresses against marauding groupers, conger or moray eels. In this bare territory, the octopus often draws man's debris around him for protection. Our divers even report a live hand grenade guarding one octopus's house. The octopus is a solitary creature, and for him, any refuge he can find is home, whether it be an amphora dating back to the Roman Empire or a symbol of today's civilization, a tin can. In his home, the octopus feeds on crustaceans or small fish. His favorite food is crab. The octopus will swiftly paralyze his prey with venom, then curl up with canned crab.
In the Mediterranean, the search for a home or for building material is constant. For many homeless octopuses, there is no haven at all on these open plains, but they continue to search in vain. When no semblance of a home can be found, these wanderers are forced to travel long, tiring voyages. Because of the nature of its locomotion by jet propulsion through the breathing funnel in the middle of its body, the octopus swims backward. The leading edge is not the head, but the muscular mantle. Swimming backward, it has a blind spot, and it crashes a lot. Under a submarine cliff, one octopus at least finds security. The Espadon travels past the Chateau d'If of Count of Monte Cristo fame. Observed from this ship, a Mediterranean fisherman in age-old tradition, setting his pots for octopuses. Now, throughout the world, cephalopods are an important food source. The annual harvest has grown to over 1 million tons, 1 pound for every human on Earth.
The octopus has no way of knowing that he is gaining increasing acceptance from gourmet. The fisherman, as of old, takes advantage of the housing shortage. For the unsuspecting octopus, the ready-made residence will become a trap.
For centuries, octopus fishermen have employed the most humane means to kill their catch. An expert bite at the nerve center between the eyes kills the octopus instantly. That is not the humane fate this octopus has looked forward to. It prefers not to end up with its fellow octopuses in a Mediterranean marketplace. With eyes lifted high in panic, our octopus parachutes to the bottom. Once more, he has to look for a home, a more secure home. He is fortunate, he finds an amphora. However, the ancient jugs are usually already occupied. Life is difficult on this barren basement of the sea. The scarcity of shelter can lead to mortal conflict. Here, two octopuses battle for possession of a jar. With coiling, sucker-clad arms, the owner of the jar would strangle the intruder. The owner of the jar thrusts an arm into the intruder's breathing aperture to choke off his oxygen supply. When home, food, or sex is at stake, there are no gentlemen. The gentle octopus can become a fierce octopus. Strangled, the loser begins to turn white, while the winner tears at a stretched tentacle with its beak. The victor will hold its blanched and motionless opponent in a death grip until it expires. Still a flicker of life. There comes a point where we cannot remain passive observers of the merciless life and death struggle. Geneste has difficulty separating the combatants. The victor is reluctant to let go. His reward will be to retain his house. The loser swims off. Although it has lost tentacles, the octopus seals its wounds immediately. But our octopus is gravely injured. Ironically, for our battle-weary octopus, it is man's underwater litter that provides a refuge and a home.
Aboard Calypso, Captain Cousteau approaches Monaco's renowned oceanographic museum.
Got them, and in order to bring them...
At the museum, Cousteau plans laboratory studies of the octopus with scientists Andrew Packard and Jeffrey Sanders.
You have them in the lab?
Well, we're going to bring these ones.
Oh, these ones?
Yes, and we have other ones that we caught last week.
Very good.
Captain Cousteau will have this female octopus, recently caught in the Mediterranean, transferred for potential mating to an aquarium in the basement of the museum. In the wild, for the octopus, finding a mate is a matter of chance. Placed in a tank with a male, the female begins to clean her suction cups, while Cousteau and Packard observe.
She's doing this in front of the male. You don't think it is to attract him?
He doesn't seem very attractive.
No, he is not. But she has come near him to do it. Now, the mating of a male and a female can occur in the tank as well as in nature.
Yes, a male makes the first approaches to a female. He ensures her cooperation by perhaps rather subtle signals. The flashing of a dark ring round the eye seems to be one of them. Another is to raise the arms.
I understand that the third arm is a sexual organ.
Yes.
The male is getting active.
And you see that flashing of the eye, the dark ring around the eye? This perhaps is also part of the recognition process, the courtship. And this third right arm, which is a special modified arm, is exploring over her body, trying to find an entrance into the aperture where the eggs are to be found. These animals, you see, have a true mating. They pass their sperms in the form of packets, beautiful packets, into the cavity of the female, and the sperm fertilizes the eggs while they're still in the body of the female.
Now this is accompanied by a sort of excitement which makes a slight color change in the male.
Yes.
What about the female? Does she present something? Do you think she feels pleasure?
Well, I don't know whether she felt something, or I would suppose so.
Now the female will be considered as pregnant at the end of this operation, and she will lay her eggs how long after the copulation?
Sometimes egg laying takes place shortly after, but it can be 3 months after.
The female breeds only once in a lifetime. The male will be free to mate with other females if he can overcome the hazards of time and place.
The coupling terminated, the female will reject the male as she becomes solely concerned with the brood she is to bring to life. Captain Cousteau has the pregnant female removed from the tank. She will be returned to the floor of the sea to hatch her eggs in the environment in which she was found. Again alone, she will build a home and wait 5 to 6 weeks for her hatch, alone. Periodic inspections reveal the female's eggs are maturing. She has glued her thousands of eggs to the ceiling of her nest, where they now hang down in clusters like ripening grapes. The female shields them with her outturned arms. She keeps them oxygenated by squirts of water from her funnel and vacuum cleans them with her suction cups. Jacques offers her a fish to see if she will eat, for the female octopus stops foraging when she is brooding her eggs. Meanwhile, small fish outside her nest wait to gobble up the firstborn. She is near starvation, but she refuses to take the nourishment that could save her life. She will not eat. One scientist believes she instinctively refuses food because food remains might contaminate her eggs. Although she will die shortly after her eggs hatch, the octopus continues to reject the offering, then makes a remarkable attempt to push away the diver himself. It is unusual for an octopus to leave her eggs, but now pushed to extraordinary courage in their defense, she attacks the diver. Cousteau cameramen will now take advantage of the female's unexpected departure from her nest. With a specially developed camera, they will photograph the hatching. Michel Delois removes a single strand of eggs. Through nature's overabundance, each of approximately 50 clusters contains up to 4,000 octopus embryos. It is for the massive hatch that the small fish wait. The octopus, making her way through hungry fish, returns to her nest to care for her eggs. To film the birth of the octopuses, new techniques for undersea microscopic filming are developed at Cousteau's Center of Advanced Marine Studies in Marseille.
The miracle of the egg is as close as we can get to the ultimate mystery. The great eyes and pulsing mantle of the octopus infant are a revelation. The babies struggle to burst their bonds and begin life on their own. Octopus, octopus, translucent forms duplicating that of your mother. Your mother now dying, but blowing her young out of the nest, releasing them to the world, never to see them again.
Sparks of life, jet-propelled by tiny blasts from their breathing siphons. The baby octopuses embark on a perilous journey. Few will survive even the first hours of life. In increasing numbers, fish have gathered outside the nest. They have come to feast on the newborn.
Octopus, octopus, your babies are dying. Of the female's 200,000 offspring, only 1 or 2 will reach maturity. Yet those that die support the essential pyramid of food that encompasses all living creatures of the sea.
A young survivor. Jeunesse slowly approaches a baby octopus a few weeks old. The baby is as curious about the diver as Jeunesse is about him. His movements may be jerky, but he is already a master of camouflage. He moves in spurts, in doubt whether to hide or flee. Increasing his weight by 20% a day, he has successfully survived a drifting planktonic existence. Now he's a real octopus, confronted with the problems of freedom. Still terribly vulnerable, he flees and inks on his way to becoming the fabled monster that devours men and crushes ships. On the floor of the Mediterranean, an octopus approaches a windfall, the catch in a fisherman's net. This is something he simply has to investigate. The fisherman's net was dropped near the octopus home by chance. But is the octopus capable of learning by experience? And how does he learn? Is he capable of creating his own opportunities? consciously? And is this intelligence? These are questions that scientists have been asking about the octopus, as in laboratories they conduct experimental work on the psychology of the animal. Dr. Jeffrey Sanders is a specialist in octopus learning and memory. At Monaco Oceanographic Museum, Captain Cousteau and Dr. Andrew Packard joined Sanders in a demonstration of octopus learning.
This is a higher animal. It's one of the three main groups of higher animals, the vertebrates, of course, to which we belong, and insects, which we're also quite familiar with, and these cephalopods. This brain, compared, for instance, with the brain of a bee, has perhaps 1,000 times as many cells, 500 million cells.
That's about 100 times less than we have, right?
About, yes.
And shall we see how it behaves to a shape? This is a black circle, then. I introduce the black circle.
Well, as soon as
look
oh
at
my
that,
God.
a very rapid attack, and a fish reward. He's taking the fish now.
So he's trained to respond to the black target.
He's had some training to respond to black, yes.
It's amazing.
They're very strong animals. Sometimes they don't like to let go of the target. Notice how their behavior is very well adapted to this type of experiment. He comes out, he attacks, receives the reward, and returns to his home. Let's try with the white shape.
With the white, yes.
And this time, if he attacks the white shape, I shall give him a small electric shock.
As a punishment?
As a punishment. There's the white shape.
He's never seen this before.
He's never seen the white shape before. He attacks. A small shock. He doesn't like that.
He looks very frustrated when going back to his home.
We'll present him again with the black
Dr.
shape.
Sanders again presents the black circle. The attack is even more rapid, and the octopus is again given its fish reward.
Another circle, but this time white. And we want to train the animal not to attack the white.
Hey, he hesitates.
Do you see?
He hesitates, but then he's already had one shock for attacking the white shape.
He's very intelligent.
Maybe.
The way I feel. He's very smart, let's say.
And very smart.
No, he doesn't want it.
Short term.
That's very good. You're very smart.
An appetizing lobster, enclosed in a quart glass sphere, will now be used to test the intelligence of the octopus in the wild. In the laboratory, conditioned by man, the octopus responded to reward and punishment. Now Jacques descends to the living laboratory, where there are no controls, and where reward for lessons learned is survival. Jacques presents a young female octopus with a problem. How can she get at one of her favorite foods, encased in a sealed jar? She would immediately pull the lobster into her lair, but unexpectedly encounters glass. With one slim arm, she explores the previously unseen, unfelt barriers between her and the lobster. The jar, the cork, the hole in the cork, which admits seawater to keep the lobster alive. For the octopus, it is a completely new and perplexing experience. Arms firmly anchored in its home, the octopus now attempts to possess the lobster by drawing the whole contraption into her house. It unfortunately doesn't fit. Again, she explores the hole in the cork. This might be a way to get the lobster. She can touch it, but she can't capture it.
Accustomed to engulfing its food, the octopus is thwarted, but not defeated. It wants that lobster, and capable of emotion, it gets mad. Its respiration is faster, and its heartbeat too. Thus stimulated, does the octopus think out its problem? In actual time, it took the octopus 3 hours to solve its problem. Certainly, trial and error were involved, but in the end, was it luck or logic that removed the cork? All we can say is that the octopus did remove the cork. With the lobster in her possession, the troublesome container is gladly relinquished by Octopus victorious.
Jeunesse descends to the home of the young female octopus, which has by now grown to know him well. She reaches out affectionately, in satisfying contrast to his earliest encounters with the animals, when the octopuses would flee and hide. The success of the octopus study has been dependent upon a personal, one-to-one relationship, man and octopus. And in farewell, they may evaluate each other now.
Man is the only animal gifted with the combination of a superior brain, hands, and language. Of these 3, the octopus has 2, a brain and lots of manipulating arms. Although mute, the octopus has its own way of communicating with Jeunesse. The octopus is today still undergoing rapid evolution. When it gave up the burden of its protective shell, it gained speed and dexterity. It developed the largest brain of all invertebrates and behavior comparable in many respects with that of the higher vertebrates. If it were not for the handicap of a very short life, only 2 or 3 years, a very brief time to learn the world, who knows what plateaus this animal would have reached? The resourceful octopus is not endangered. Without assistance from man, he has made it on his own, an independent creature, with a future in the sea.
At Lindero Canyon Middle School, Agora, California, young people have been learning what the octopus is really like. Captain Cousteau visits the school.
You know, I brought you some very unusual pictures of octopus. Look at this one, baby. It's a giant octopus from 20,000 leagues under the sea. And Eric, look at that one. Is that frightening?
Yeah.
And the poor diver, what happens to him? And this man with a knife trying to save his life? But the worst, of course, Nicky, is the giant octopus that catches an entire ship, crushes it, and
pulls it down to the bottom of the ocean. Now, do you believe that? It's true, all these stories?
No, I don't.
You don't?
Uh-uh.
So this octopus here is friendly, Debbie. Would you like to shake hands with him? Do you think it would be agreeable? It would be nice?
I don't know. It might be pretty gushy.
Let's try, huh? Jim, can we...
From Pacific Tidal Pools, teacher Jim Smith has brought small octopuses into the classroom for study.
She's got plenty of hands to shake with, Deb. So
yes?
have her say hello with one.
Say hello.
There she is.
Okay, that's...
Here. She's a friendly girl.
How does it feel?
Not bad.
Is it cold? Take an arm in your hand. How is it?
It's gushy and it sticks.
We too have learned to look upon the octopus differently. But legends do not die that easily. Aboard Calypso, our divers marvel at the size of a Pacific monster, red with rage in his prison. We will leave him alone, this Houdini of the deep. He is an escape artist, without a bone in his body. Out of his element, the octopus is a chaos of flesh. Back in the order of the sea, he himself is reborn to order, to life, grace, and beauty.